Welcome to the 30-day yoga challenge. I'm really glad that you guys decided to sign up for this. I have a lot that I want to share with you, and the hardest part to all of this is just saying yes and just clicking on the button, clicking on play. And so I just want to encourage you that you're already breaking through resistance by saying yes to this challenge. And as we go on through the days, you're going to experience more resistance, and I want to encourage you to just keep pressing play. Even if you feel like your body can't handle it, lay down your mat, grab some pillows, blankets, make yourself comfortable, and just press play. And it will keep you participating, and it really does, you'll find that at least it anchors you into checking in every day, and that's really what this challenge is about, is coming to a check-in point and becoming familiar with yourself so that you have the tools to reset yourself every day. I just want to go through a few things in the beginning for comfort, and because there's such a wide range of bodies that I'm working with, that we're all going to be needing different things. So what I have here is a small blanket, a towel, and this could be great. I mean, I have some yoga blocks here, but I'm assuming that you do not have blocks. So small towel and maybe a blanket that can fold easily. And so the first posture we're going to work with is a seated posture. And to make sitting cross-legged more comfortable, you want to elevate your hips. You want to sit higher. And so we could fold the blanket and place that underneath. And I'm going to edge myself forward so that my legs are falling down a little lower than my hips. Okay, and the second thing I want to speak to is that if you're needing support, maybe your knees or ankles are feeling a bit of tension, you can put a blanket or pillow underneath each knee and really build yourself up to be comfortable. The idea is that if your hips can tilt back, your spine will sit a little straighter, okay? And so if we can sit a little higher, the hips will tilt back a little easier. And so cross legs if you can, and if you can't, a second position to take would be kneeling, okay? In which case you might want to bring a bigger blanket so that you can sit on it. Okay, and another way for sitting, if the tops of the feet hurt when you sit back to the heels, put a blanket underneath the tops of the feet, okay? And a second blanket, if it's quite tight for you to stay there, a second blanket could go behind the knees, okay? So this is another option for sitting. And as you can see, the spine sits up nice and straight, and that's the idea. And so at the beginning of each class, we're going to spend a few minutes just sitting and doing some breathing. And that's what we'll do right now. So setting yourself up for maximum comfort. And we'll place the hands onto the thighs, palms up or down, whichever feels good for you. And closing the eyes. And starting to deepen the inhale and exhale. Bringing it in and out through the nose. And we're going to begin making a specific sound. Inhale through the nose. Pause at the top of your breath, open the mouth, and let out the sound HA. Pushing it all the way out. Inhale through the nose. Pausing at the top, make the same sound with the mouth closed. Same sound as you inhale. Same sound as you exhale. Wanting to make the inhale rise to a point, and then pause. And exhaling for the same length, same consistency to a point at the bottom and pause. Focus all your attention on making that sound. While bringing your spine to a point of balance where your shoulders are above your hips, your ears are above your shoulders. Inhaling deeply, pausing, exhaling deeply, pausing, inhale deeply, pausing, exhale deeply, pausing, making sound in the throat consistently. Sounds like the ocean, sounds like wind blowing through the trees. And we'll bring our hands together in front of the chest, in front of the heart. And we'll just take a moment to check in with the intention for this 30-day challenge. You're stepping up in a big way, and that shows a lot. And so can you relax into the ability? You already have the ability. Relaxing into just receiving the choice of doing something for yourself. Even though you don't know necessarily what's ahead, present time, relaxing into the action of caring for yourself. We'll open the class with a single Om, which really sets the tone for peace in the body, peace in the mind. So the sound of the Om is 3 sounds, ah, o, and we'll just do that one time. You can do that out loud, which is nice, or you can do that just by listening, or even internally making the sound. We'll inhale to Om. We'll start to open the eyes, continue tuning into the breathing. That is the way that we will work with the postures, is by doing this same breath that we just practiced. We'll start with our feet against the wall, and we'll start by laying down. And so in this laying down, you can have a blanket underneath the back of your head. If you feel like your forehead is below your chin, then we're going to prop the head up. If it's not a problem, don't worry about the blanket. So laying onto the back, and I'm going to press my heels into the wall. I'm going to bring my feet together, and I'm going to reach my arms, spread my fingers. So I don't need any padding here for mind flexibility, but if your arms kind of feel like this, and it's quite tense, you're going to bend your elbows, okay? And you can have a pillow or blanket under the back of the hands. Probably 2 pillows would be nice, okay? And you're just going to breathe here, full breaths. And for those of you who have a little bit more open shoulders, well, then you're going to start to reach the arms and really try to connect the back of your fingernails towards the ground. So breathing deeply here. And we'll draw attention to a center line. So drawing a line down the center of your body, and it begins where your feet are touching. The space between your heels, the space between the big toes would be considered your midline, your center line. From here, we'll stay on that center line. We'll bring the left knee in towards the belly. I'll try to wrap both hands around the knee. If that's not possible, you can't quite get there, bend your right knee, and that would be a variation that would be easier to work with. Heels can push into the wall or into the floor. Breathing deeply here. And on the exhale, trying to squeeze the knee in towards the belly a little bit more. Draw your shoulders back towards the ground. Draw your upper arms back towards the ground. And we'll move into a twist here. You can rest the foot on the thigh and reach your left arm out, and we'll start to bring the knee across. I don't want to go so far that my left shoulder comes off the ground. So I'm going to keep my left shoulder on the ground and breathe. For those of you who could go a little deeper, you can bring the knee in towards the belly. Coming back to center, both knees together, and we'll start to extend the left leg. And if that's not possible, then we'll have the left knee bent and pushing into the heel, either into the ground or into the wall. And we're still focusing on a center line. Squeezing my knee in towards center line. I'm even pushing the inside of my heel towards the wall.
into a twist, you can soften the foot down towards the thigh and maybe just gradually guide your knee across. The right shoulder stays on the ground. And for those of you wanting to go a little deeper, then you're pulling the knee up towards the chest a little bit more. Come back to center and releasing both legs. Let's hug the knees in. And roll over to your side. We're going to come up into our second seated position. So if you had a pillow or a blanket, okay, or a bolster would be really nice, but I don't think that too many of us have that. You can sit on the blanket. Again, use this underneath your feet if it hurts your ankles. Get as comfortable as you can. Okay, and a very basic spinal movement here. The spine moves in three basic directions: forward and backwards. Okay, it moves side to side, and then of course it has the ability to twist. So, coming from a straight spine, we're going to move with our breathing. So hands are on the thighs. I'm going to inhale, try to pin my elbows back together, arch my hips back, and lift my breath in my chest. Exhale.
Round your hips forward, reach for the knees, and cave the chest in.
Inhale, pull the elbows back, engage the back muscles. Exhale, engage the front
Of the body.
Together, inhale. Movement and breath together.
Okay, the
Back muscles support the front of the spine opening, right? The engagement of the front
coming in towards center line supports the back opening.
Your head is part of the spine as you look up and arch the hips back. Okay? It's really the pelvic floor and the head that are leading
the mobility.
So we're looking at the movement of the pelvis all the way to the head. And of course the arms and legs can help
Exaggerate.
support the movement. Come back to center. The same movement can be done in what's called cat-cow. Come onto the hands and the knees. This might be a position as well. Whenever you're on the knees, if you feel like, oh, that hurts, then have your blanket handy if you need the knees padded, okay? And I'll show you something for the wrists a little bit later. Inhale, arching the hips. Same movement. Pull your shoulders back. Lift the heart. Exhale, rounding your hips towards the chest, looking towards your belly button. Inhale. Exhale.
Inhale.
And exhale.
Last time.
Back to center. And we're going to step forward with the right foot. And you move that right foot forward. See how deeply you can come into this low lunge. Okay? If you're having trouble with it, you're going to spend some time maybe just be stabilizing the ankles. So lift your toes up a bit. Okay, and on the back foot, make sure your heel is upright, or it can be on the top of the foot if you like, but control the ankle. Okay, from here, come into a low lunge by sitting as deeply as you can.
And we're all taking steps through these poses. We're all taking the same steps, but it's important that you recognize the step that you're on. And so it should be challenging, but you should be able to breathe. There is obvious stretch going on, so to speak, but there is an equal amount of engagement towards putting the bones to work. So you want the knee to stack above the heel. You want the spine to stack above the pelvis. And we're working towards that. Let's place the hands onto the ground and bring the knee back and take the left foot forward and pushing the knee forward. So action supports the alignment. Okay, my thigh is trying to travel forward. I'll even support that by pushing the thigh forward. Okay, you can always bump it up by having hands to the hips. Okay, the left thigh is traveling forward, the right thigh is traveling back, and they both support my spine being straight. Listening to the sound of your breath. Trying to create easy passage. And the hands can come down to the ground and we'll step back. So tops of the feet onto the floor, and we'll sit back towards child's pose. So we'll sit back towards the heels and create pressure in the hands. Okay? And we'll start to walk the hands forward. And you can keep the chest looking forward, the head looking forward. And we're gonna walk over now. We're gonna create a little bit of a side bend. We're gonna walk the hands to the left. But I'm still going to try to sit heavily on my right side. The head can start to relax, but the pressure of the hands is supporting straight arms. And the straight arms are supporting more release from the torso. Walk your hands to center and we'll walk over to the right side. So this is, the spine is bending from side to side. We take it to where we feel is appropriate. Meet your edge where your discomfort is with your breathing. And any enthusiasm you can bring to the breath, any release that you can bring to the breath is going to go a long way. We'll come back to center with both hands. And child's pose is an option always. And downward dog is also an option. And it's a pose that we generally transition with, but it's not a pose for everybody. And in downward dog, I'm really wanting to keep the straight arms. I'm wanting to sink my chest to a level where my arms are in line with the rest of my spine. And then I'm working the hips up and the heels down. And I might not get straight legs, but I want to keep lifting hips up and pushing away from my hands as I sink the heels. Breathing deeply here. And we'll take the right foot forward. And as you take the right foot forward, we're going to plant the left heel and come up into Warrior A. So in Warrior A, the back foot is planted, okay, it's not too wide of a stance. You never want to be slipping gradually. My shoulders are in line with my front foot, and I want to be able to bring my knee above my ankle. Lots of pressure on the outside of your back foot, and just hands to the hips. And maybe this is where you begin, and you can slowly move towards elbows and upper arms shifting back towards each other. And the idea is to always support the spine, really lengthening and stacking above the base of the pelvis. Feel the stability of the back leg by leaning back into it a little bit, giving it more power, more grounding. From here, you're going to exhale, hands to the ground, step back, downward dog, okay? We'll take the left foot forward. And then we'll come into Warrior A again. So follow the left leg with your shoulders. Okay, you don't have to twist your right leg forward. It can be open. The hip can be open. Imagine that you're sitting towards your left heel and slightly lean back into the strength of that right leg. Really straighten out your right leg. Breathing deeply here. See if you can relax your butt, but still be present in the legs, still be vibrantly awake in the spine. Great, we'll step forward. We'll step forward with both feet and release the arms. Really good. Okay, so we're gonna step back with the left foot. And this time we're going to keep our legs straight. Okay, and if you find that you can't balance, sometimes the leg steps behind the other leg. It's more like you're on a tightrope. So step more like you're on train tracks if that's the case. And recognize that if your hamstrings are really inflexible, it's okay if you don't move very far in these poses. As we get to know our body, it will also start to unfold. So look at your front foot. Have the ability to lift the toes up. Okay, and that builds strength in the arch. It builds balance in the ankle. Okay, and the toes can come down. Hands to the hips. And if you needed a wall here, if you needed to use a wall, you just can't do it. You could use this wall here, okay? Let's see if you can do it with hands to the hips, elbows pointing back, inhale, and exhale, starting to hinge at the waist. We'll keep a straight spine. So lifting your upper back, lifting your toes if you can, and pressing the big toe down. Stay at halfway, and you can stay at halfway as long as you want. Okay, and then the next halfway is just letting the spine sink down through the crown of the head, but keep the legs actively lifting the hips. Keep the elbows and shoulders drawing back. Breathe your way into length, into ease. Inhale, come back up. And exhale, step forward. We'll take the right foot back. And hands to the hips. straight legs, pointing the shoulders forward, and as you inhale, lengthen the front of your spine. And as you exhale, lead with the hips. The hips are trying to position back. Okay, even the toes are becoming more awake, lifting them and placing them down, spreading them out. And maybe you didn't move very much. Maybe you're not as far as I'm showing right now. Totally fine. Just breathe there at the intensity. Know that straightening the spine is really bringing more attention to the areas that are tight. And to any degree, you could start to relax the upper back and the head, back of the neck, okay, if you were further down. It's all the same steps. We have to breathe and get to know and shine some light on those places that are hiding. Inhale, come back up and stepping forward. All right, good job. So we'll take it into Warrior B. In Warrior B, we step back just a little bit further. And then we start to bend the right knee. Instead of my shoulders being forward with my right leg, I'm starting to open towards the open side of my pelvis. So bending the right knee and bring it as far as you can, and then it should be right above the heel, so adjusting your feet. Spine is straight up and down, and breathing deeply here will start to reach out. Straighten the arms. You can keep your head just looking to the open side of the pelvis. Good. And then from here, we'll step forward. Maybe it's not that easy. So we'll take the right leg back. And as you open this side, know that the tension your knee will want to come in. It will want to go in. And so maybe that's the first place we start, is support the knee opening, okay? Lift the toes if you need to support the stabilization of your ankle. And then give it some action. Give the thigh somewhere to go. It's going that way. And your spine is centered, okay? It's a lot of direction, and if it doesn't make sense day one, that's pretty normal. So breathing here. I'm arranging myself so the knee can open a little bit more. I'm turning my belly towards the open side. Keep softening the eyes. Keep engaging with the sound of your breath. We're having to bring our bones into a place that they don't normally want to stay, but it is a place where you're going to get stronger. And we're going to come back up, and we're going to step forward. Left foot can step back. This time we're coming into triangle. And I'll show triangle a couple variations. I think everybody could start with the first variation and kind of stay there if the pose confuses you. And so our left foot is about a 45-degree angle, turned forward. And we'll keep straight legs here. And you're gonna tilt from the hips, okay? But you're slightly gonna let that left shoulder come back. So I'm breathing here, straight legs. The idea is to keep this left side nice and long. You could have the hand down here. You could come lower, but you still want strength happening. The hand, if the shoulders are quite tight, can just stay on the hip. And if you're reaching the arm, rotate so the palm is open towards the face. Inhale, come back up. And we'll step forward. So from humble beginnings, great things. Is that the same? In the beginning with this practice, it's always the most uncomfortable. So give yourself a break. Know that it's uncomfortable and just keep using the breath and keep touching on your edge, but be where you need to be for you to be comfortable. So breathing deeply, tilt the hips. Okay, of course, we're opening up a lot of lines in the leg, but we're also demonstrating the core that it would take to keep your spine straight. Breathing deeply here. First, the right shoulder must move back. Then the arm could stack possibly. I'm not pushing on my knee. I'm not pushing on my leg. I'm using the arm to help me support the side body. Inhale, come up. Really good. Step forward. Notice I can't see you, but I'm telling you you're doing really good, because if you're still watching, you are doing really good. And really, this is all you need to do is just even participate with your ears, and we start to notice and bring more awareness to our being. Okay, let's go. I see. Okay, so from here, let's just bring our feet together. And we'll come back to our first pose. We'll bring the arms up and just bring the thumbs together. And just reaching up here. Reaching down through the center of the feet. Lengthening up through the center of the head. Reaching through the fingers and toes. And then exhale, release the arms. So we're going to take the left knee in. And if you needed to hold the wall, you could. Bring your knee in as deeply as you can, and we'll reach the right arm up. So with pulling the knee up, also then standing a little taller. Eyes can look on a point. Lift your gaze up. Keep the knee squeezed in. This is, maybe you can try this. The knee is squeezing in. The left arm is reaching back. And if it's there, maybe you can look there. Maybe, these are a lot of maybes. Just try. Exhale, release. Okay. And we'll take the right knee up. Make sure you're not holding your breath while you're trying. Make the breath really exaggerated. Like you're inflating the pose, like it's getting a little bit lighter with each big breath. Full exhales. And maybe you're just here. Maybe you can barely straighten the leg. Totally fine. Just work on straightening the supporting leg. And what we did at the start of the class really pushed our heel into the wall. So really pushing your heel into the floor. and just training the muscles that could support you to stand just by awakening them. Okay, and if you were going to turn, maybe you could hold the knee there. Okay, you could even try to bring your arm back as you bring the knee in. Just a couple more breaths. Again, really straightening through the supporting leg. Lengthening through the inside of the heel. And then release. Good. Release the body. Okay? Let's inhale, reach the arms up. And we're going to exhale, fold forward. And we'll keep a straight spine. And lift up the toes. And lean forward a little bit. And the toes can spread and press the ground. And lean forward a little bit, keeping your heels on the ground. Pushing your legs to be straighter as you lean forward. And then you're going to exhale, bend the knees, place the hands on the ground. Step back with both feet into the high plank. The high plank is like the top of a push-up. We're going to stay here. So straight legs. And slightly bring the hips down, but bring the belly up by pushing into the hands. Bring the belly up. Look forward with the chest. And you can be doing all of this with your knees on the ground. Stay with me for 3 more breaths. Nice clean breaths, sipping that sound in and out. We'll bring the knees to the ground, and you don't have to. You can have straight legs. Chaturanga, we're going to hold for 5 breaths. Even if you collapse, I want you to try to press. So we're going to go to halfway, 90-degree angle. You're here for 5 breaths. But maybe you fell and you did this. 5 breaths still. Pressing into the hands while pinning the elbows towards each other so the center of your hand is pressing. So the shoulders are drawing away from your ears. Deep breaths. And come down to the ground. Let's just bring the elbows out in front of us. So a lot of the adjustments will be the same in different poses. So generally we're trying to take the shoulders back to a wider position, wider for the chest. Okay, and we do that by drawing the front of the shoulders back, and as we press into the ground, slightly squeezing the elbows in, just a little tiny bit. So breathing deeply here, and imagine that you're pulling with your forearms, you're trying to pull your chest forward. You're trying to drag your chest forward through your hands. Breathing, using that to support the front of the neck opening. And then release. Okay, so Cobra, this is Cobra. And we will visit this quite a bit. So from a grounded position, let's take the hands back underneath the elbows and keep the feet on the ground and roll the shoulders back and press into the hands, roll the shoulders back, squeeze the elbows in, press into the hands, and lengthen the back of the neck. And we'll breathe here. So like your chin is going to slightly tuck in towards the front of the throat.
and then press a little bit more. And if that feels like, oh, I can't do that, that's a little too much, cool, bring your hands forward, but do the same thing. Okay, and if you could do that, then you can get to maybe a little straighter arms to support that, okay? But pelvis is on the floor here, and we're holding the grip in our hands and bringing the shoulders back as we give rise to the chest. So that could be here, right? The press that it takes for you to stay here, I want it to work towards drawing the shoulders down and the elbows in, so you have more direct push to the center of your hands. You can message me about that later if it makes no sense. We'll come back down. That's a lot of work.
Head to the side, just big sigh. Fully present in your body, sensations, and your ability to completely release tension. Hands beside the chest, we'll push ourselves back to down, or a child's pose, sorry. Child's pose could be nice if your head has some padding. In child's pose, you're sending the hips back towards the heels, sending the back of the pelvis downwards towards the heels, relaxing the forehead, the neck, the shoulder blades. Coming forward into pigeon. We'll take the right knee forward. Okay, and this might require a blanket or a block underneath your right hip. So how do we get there? Knee comes forward. Okay, we walk the left foot back, and then the right foot slightly comes out. Okay, so I'm sitting back. I'm even trying to walk or reach the left foot back. And then my hands are trying to support the left and right hip being centered. So breathing here. Have the ability to get some length through the ankles, either by pointing the foot or flexing the heel. And if either brings pain to your knee, then steer clear from any pain in the knee. If you have knee trouble right now and you can't get rid of it, don't do this pose. And then we can go a little deeper into this pose. For some of you, maybe resting the head is the best option if the hips are really agitated, really anxious, so sometimes being a little bit more passive in the pose, still with the same breaths, you know, but if you're looking maybe to get more, then eventually we're starting to, the hips are coming down to the ground, and we're starting to push them down. Okay, that's two very different approaches, and you gotta know that if you're beginning, it's good to be a little bit more passive, see where you're at, see what works. You can always turn up the volume one breath at a time. You don't have to put effort in hard. You can actually be a lot more easeful. Good. We'll come back to hands underneath the chest. And a good transition is to downward dog. And we'll switch legs so the left knee can come forward. And again, maybe the starting stages of this pose where you just get your knee forward and you start to sit back, and it's pretty intense. So, and you'll find that your body parts, you'll be open in a bunch of areas, and then there's a blind spot. So I'm asking you to be soft with those areas that you're feeling or should be better than they are. We just breathe here. Mapping out through sensation. Navigate left and right to support center line. Center of your pelvis, center of your belly button, your chest, your rib cage, your shoulders, your throat, your jaw, your forehead, your eyes. Everything positioning to center line. As you start to come down slowly, the weight is in the pelvis. It's always in the pelvis first, unless we're upside down. So always trying to place the spine accordingly to the pelvis being centered. You can have the head resting, or you can push the hips back a little further. Think about you're cleaning out the tension from the spine. Each breath is moving up and down the spine. What part of your spine could use more exhale, could use more inhale? Push the hands back underneath us, and once more we'll step back into downward facing dog. And you're really trying to initially stretch out the spine, then you can bring the legs into supporting by lengthening. And we'll sit down and we'll bring the legs up in front of us. So a seated posture, this could be nice to have your feet flat against the wall. And also if you're quite tight in the hamstrings, generally the sitting looks like this. So we need to make up length here, so we're bringing the back of the hips back, and we can do that easier by sitting on the edge of that cliff. And just kind of, it gives us that wedge we need, wedgie, so to speak. And so the feet are flat and together, and that could be a good place to start. This variation of the forward bend we'll do is just with the hands behind us. And don't worry about grip, or the arms are just being behind us is a good position for them right now. And you can just let the stretch in your fingers happen by letting the weight of the arms just stay behind you. So breathing deeply here. And in the forward bend, the first thing that, it's like pulling a rope. Like you need tension on both sides of the rope. So if the legs are straight, then any pulling straight in the spine is going to be intense. So treat the breath like a wave, lifting from the base of the spine, exaggerating and expressing to the top. And then as you exhale, the base of the spine falls, and so does the rest of the spine. And your breath can travel that way. Just think of lifting up your belly, lifting up your guts, with your inhale, and then just placing the organs a little bit further as you exhale. And if you're right at that spot where there's alarms and bells going off, then you're just going to stay there and gain confidence in where you're at right now by getting more steady in the feet, giving into the breath a little bit more. And the pose could get very passive in that we could just let the arms completely relax and let the head completely relax. Push into the hands, come back out. Okay. Working our way towards the ground, we're going to lay onto the backs. And moving towards a pose called the bridge. We're again always starting at the legs and pelvis. We have to open up our support, which is our legs and pelvis, for the rest of the body, for the spine. And any area that is not being supported. So a block is great, but you probably don't have a block. So a towel is great. If we just squeeze it between the thighs, it's so that our legs don't navigate apart. Because typically they like to, for performance reasons. Okay? But our performance is based on what we feel is centered in the bone structure. Then we can work from there. So feet are going to walk towards the hips, okay? The feet are hip width apart. The blanket is pushed the thighs apart that far. And first I'll work with my arms reaching towards my feet. I'm even rolling the upper arms back and I'm pressing the ground with the hands. So lifting the hips up here, breathing deeply, and lift the hips up, but also push away from the feet in a way that sends your body weight towards the shoulders and keep rolling the shoulders back so there's less neck involved and more upper arms pinning back. And breathe here. And a second variation here could be, and again, if you're really tight, just stay in the first variation and just, if you can be still within that pose, then you can move a little deeper. If your hands need more of a challenge, you can clasp the hands together, in which case you're trying to touch the ground with your hands and breathe. We're sending the weight to stack above the shoulders almost. Okay, those are two very different variations. Stick with what's working with you for the whole week, okay? For the whole week. And release, come back down. I want to go one more time. Same variation you just did. So if you just did arms down, palms pressing, do that. If you have to struggle to get to the next variation, and all of a sudden you're rolling to the left and your right arm has to go this way for you to get there, it's not the variation yet. It's not time yet. And if you just give it time, it will happen easily. Because all of the poses support each other. Keep softening the neck and really moving the shoulders back and away from the neck. We'll come back down. Very good.
Release your legs. So this pose is important, Shavasana, and you could take the blanket behind the head. If you feel like the head is too far back, the forehead, have a blanket. We'll move our arms and legs away from the pelvis, away from the head. And let's just do 3 audible sighs. We'll breathe in through the nose and then open the mouth and just let the belly relax. 2 more. One more. Just let it go. This is the posture of death, and it really is completion. On a physical level, relaxing into the feeling of being complete. And when things are complete on every level, there is an abundance of stillness.
the ground to support you being even more relaxed as you awaken. Feel how much earth supports you, relaxing your back. And begin to find small movements in the hands and feet with a relaxed back. We can find our way onto our side. Take a moment to just rest into the sides. And we'll come back up for a quick moment, quick check-in.
Closing the eyes. Sitting with support. Shoulders relaxed. Hips relaxed. Bring the hands together in front of the heart. Know that what you are beginning is a deeper relationship and understanding of yourself, which means it's just going to be more love for you, more love for everyone. Namaste. Let's have a great month. Thank you so much.